My name is Devin Cipher, and I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be alive. On July 3rd, 2015, I was run over by a double-decker bus while crossing 6th Avenue in Manhattan. There's a traffic video that shows me in the crosswalk with the green light. There's another video showing the driver speeding through a stop sign before plowing into me head-on. And there's a video on YouTube that shows a river of my blood streaming down 6th Avenue. I was in ICU at Bellevue Hospital for 3 months, and I'm still go to physical therapy twice a week. But the fact that I'm standing here today makes me one of the lucky crash victims. And it's because I recognize just how lucky I am that I chose to be here today to speak up for those who weren't as lucky. There were 4 New Yorkers killed by motor vehicles in just the past 72 hours. Every 3 hours, someone is killed or seriously injured. This is an epidemic. It is a public health crisis that puts every single New Yorker at risk, regardless of race, class, age, religion, or sexual orientation. As a member of Families for Safe Streets, I'm here to offer our deep gratitude to Councilman Lander for initiating a bill that will, for the first time, hold reckless drivers accountable for their actions. And we are grateful to Speaker Johnson for shepherding the bill through Council, grateful to Council members like Councilwoman Rodriguez Councilman Rodriguez, I apologize. Councilman Rodriguez for supporting the bill and for voting for the bill. We are grateful to the mayor, but not just for signing the bill, but for acknowledging that it is just one part of combating traffic violence. This bill targets the most egregiously chronic offenders of traffic laws, and that is a great start. But we need to do more. We need to prosecute reckless drivers who kill people. We need to redesign our streets, most importantly, so that we minimize the chance for those deaths in the first place. Queens Boulevard is called the Boulevard of Death, and that is unacceptable. The very first pedestrian death in New York of 2020 was a 74-year-old woman crossing Queens Boulevard on New Year's Day. We look forward to working with the mayor to complete the transformation of the Boulevard of Death into the Boulevard of Bold Change. And it is so my pleasure to be here to introduce the Mayor of New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Devin, I really want to thank you. You spoke with extraordinary passion and just put things in perspective. I've been working on this issue a long time. I think it's the first time, and forgive me if it's been out there before, but it's the first time I've heard someone say it as traffic violence. And I think that's a very important phrase, to recognize this is a type of violence. It's not an accident. It's not something that can't be stopped. It's not something that can be tolerated. We don't tolerate violence. And you've just put it in a very powerful perspective by calling it traffic violence and reminding us it is incumbent morally on all of us to address it. So let's give Devin a thanks for that powerful, powerful message. And we will complete the mission on Queens Boulevard. I like Boulevard of Bold Change. I even like better Boulevard of Life. And we will complete that mission soon. I'm going to thank a number of people in a moment, but I want to start with something sad and sober and real. Picking up on Devin's point, the people we have lost and lose so often that we can never, not only never forget them, but never think it is okay or normal to lose people on our streets. Yesterday, and this gripped all of us, yesterday we lost Patience Albert on her way to school. Last week, we lost Jose Capla. These are New Yorkers, these are human beings who now are gone, are never coming back, whose families will be in pain for the rest of their lives. And it didn't have to be this way. And that's why we're here today. And this is a step, one battle in a longer war. But we can honor them not just with our emotions, but with our actions. So I want to ask everyone for a moment of silence for patients Albert and Jose Contla and all we have lost. Thank you. I want to acknowledge, you're going to hear from some people, so when they come up, they're going to offer their feelings, and every one of them feels passionately. But I want to acknowledge some other folks who won't be speaking but do so much. And I want to really make a point that I think has not been noted enough. When we started Vision Zero in 2014, a lot of people thought there would not be focus and energy coming from law enforcement. I want to tell the real story of what I've seen. At the NYPD, the Sheriff's Office, all elements of law enforcement working closely with DOT, TLC, there has been an absolute passionate commitment to addressing these issues. And I think a lot of people did not understand how personal it is for all of our colleagues in law enforcement who do this work to save lives and protect people, who believe saving a life from traffic violence is the same as saving a life from criminal violence. So a number of them are here with us today. I'd like you to join me in a round of applause to thank them. And everybody, our traffic agents, our school crossing guards. I want a special round of applause for the school crossing guards. I have seen many a school crossing guard put a motorist in their place. So we thank you. Thank you especially for his dynamic work and for his team to our New York City Sheriff, Joseph Aceto. Thank you. To Inspector Michael Hurley and everyone at the NYPD Transportation Bureau, thank you. And if we thank our colleagues in activism every single day, we wouldn't thank them enough because they've scored victory after victory. By the way, victories here in New York City have been crucial. The victories in Albany, even more amazing because they happened in Albany. That takes real guts. And so let's thank Families for Safe Streets. Let's thank Transportation Alternatives. Let's thank the Center for Court Innovation. And let's thank Streets Back. So, for a long, long time, our society worshiped at the altar of the automobile and worshiped a false idol. And it led us down a very dangerous road, a road of acceptance that we never, ever should have followed. But I think people are waking up really, really fast. I think everyone here is part of that vanguard. So let's answer some questions together that will help all New Yorkers to think about this. Is it the right thing to do to put speed over safety? No. I can't hear you. Is it the right thing to do to put speed over safety? No. Is it the right thing to do to put convenience over saving lives? No. Is it the right thing to do to put our cars before our kids? No. Is it time to put people first? Yes. Pongamos primero la seguridad de nuestra gente. Let's first make a priority of the safety of our people. Vision Zero has proven it can be done, but Vision Zero is a living, breathing thing. It is supposed to evolve and get better all the time. It's always supposed to demand more of us. Today, we are giving more. I said it in the other room, I'm going to say it here. Here is what this legislation to me today means to me. If you're a driver and you put your fellow New Yorkers in danger, we're getting you the hell off the road. We're taking your vehicle, period. That's what this means. It's good for people to hear it in multiple languages, so I say a los conductores que nos ponen en riesgo fuera de nuestras calles. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias. Couldn't have a better cheering section. With that, I want you to hear from three people before we go over to that table and do something that needs to be done. First, from day one, she has built so much of the architecture of Vision Zero. It was never easy, but she has achieved so much with her great team at DOT. Let's welcome Transportation Commissioner Polly Trottenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I do just want to take a second because some of the DOT team is here, the folks who are out on the streets doing safety education.
Very stylish in his blue right there.
Yes. Actually, one of our chief safety educators on motorcycle safety. He is an expert on that. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you, obviously, for your leadership and in making Vision Zero a pillar of your administration. And obviously, you were speaking today about the recent tragedies we have, and we always grieve for every single life lost on our streets. But I will say, in the years of your administration, we have had 6 of the 7 safest years on New York City streets, so we're going to continue that work. In addition to this bill, our agency is doing so many things. We've announced 20 new miles of protected bike lanes with more to come for this year. We're going to continue to work further and further. Obviously, we want to thank Councilmember Landership for his relentless leadership. He's a great partner to work with, and he really helped get this done. And of course, Chairman Rodriguez, who has been a partner with us since day one, Speaker Corey Johnson, and we thank all of them. And then obviously the extraordinary group of advocates and Families for Safe Streets that you see before you. They, I always say they are the wind in our sails. They keep us honest. We would never get this work done without their incredible advocacy. So thank you, all of you. I'll just take one more second to talk about, now that the bill will soon be signed by the mayor, the implementation, which will fall on DOT. We're already rolling up our sleeves, working with the sheriff, law department, oath, potentially the Center for Court Innovation. We're going to be trying to start with around 5,000 of the most dangerous drivers, giving them what we think will be a real education in how to be safe on our streets and what speed means in terms of human lives. And of course, as the mayor said, we will have the power of the sheriff and his ability to take their cars away if they don't work with us. And we think that is going to be tremendously powerful, particularly because thanks to the good work of our partners up in Albany, particular Assembly Member Glick and Senator Gennardis, DOT is now installing what I believe will be the largest speed camera program in the world. We are currently, at the mayor's direction, we are currently installing 60 speed cameras a month throughout the city. By the end of this year, we will have installed 720 speed cameras, more than all the previous years of the program put together. So obviously, we think that is going to have a powerful effect on people's behavior, and if they start to rack up a lot of those violations, then we will be working with the sheriff to make sure they get the education they need. So thank you again, all of you, for your leadership.
Thank you. Just want to say about the sheriff, we've been at a lot of town halls together, heard you speak. People really appreciate the way you explain the important work you do. Sheriff's a really nice guy. He's a really good guy, down-to-earth guy, unless you break the law. Then the sheriff is not a nice guy at all. He's a very resolute guy. His team is very resolute, and they do not stop until they bring justice. Thank you, Sheriff. Now, I was a city council member, and when the time came to move on to another role, it was very important to me to know that my successor would do important work, and I want to thank Councilmember Brad Lander. This is exactly what we want to see from our legislators, doing things that need to be done, pushing us farther, finding new ways to address the problems that were missed by previous generations. That's our turn to solve. So I thank you as the lead sponsor for Intro 971A, Councilmember Brad Lander. Well done, Brad.
2 years ago next week, at the intersection of Fifth Avenue and 9th Street, right downstairs from our district office, a reckless driver with a history of running red lights and speeding in school zones blew through the intersection and hit and killed 4-year-old Abigail Blumenstein and 1-year-old Joshua Liu, and also hit Abigail's pregnant mom, who lost her baby. And that crash, like so many others, it just punched our community right in the gut. You could just feel it in the neighborhood for days after that. People like gasping at the lost lives, at the lost opportunity of those kids. And right after the crash, as we were grieving, a conversation started to break out online that discovered the fact that this driver had this history that was publicly available of speed camera and red light violations, so that we could have known before she killed Abigail and Joshua that she operated her vehicle like a weapon aimed at her neighbors. And maybe we could have done something before to intervene. And we have done a lot over recent years, and Commissioner Trottenberg just talked about it, and the mayor talked about it, to reduce crashes, to confront traffic violence, to make change in our city. Changes in engineering, changes in the speed limit, expanding the camera program, lots of education programs, making sure there's enough school crossing guards, step by step as a result of advocacy. But one thing we had not focused on enough is the harm caused by the very most reckless drivers. And you see them out there, you know, those folks who just zip by. We actually had like a drag racing crash on Fifth Avenue the other night. You see those reckless drivers, but we did not yet have a program that focused on the most reckless driving behavior to say, we've got to intervene there before those folks kill someone, because we know statistically, and the data shows this, that they're much more likely to kill or injure their neighbors. And that's one of the reasons why, despite all those efforts, that in the 2 years since that crash, over 400 New Yorkers have been lost to traffic violence. I want to recognize, actually, the mayor had us have a moment of silence for Jose Cantla, but we're joined today by his wife and his sister and his brother. Jose was just killed on Sunday, and the courage that it takes to come out and say, we're going to join the advocacy effort to save the lives of other people's spouses and brothers is extraordinary. And I just And that's true of the other members of Families for Safe Streets who are here. We heard before from Clarita and Devin, and we're joined by Melody and Jane and Lourdes and Raul and Fabiola, and for me personally, especially by Amy Cohen, whose son Sammy I knew, excuse me, and what they have done to form Families for Safe Streets and move from the just wrenching pain of the loss of a loved one, and to be able to form this organization to save the lives of other people's children and loved one is a gift to the city of New York that has saved hundreds of lives and is going to save hundreds more. And I just want to make sure we say just a profound thank you to you guys for the guts and the courage that it takes to do this work. So because of that courage, we rolled up our sleeves after that crash and said, we're going to find a way to intervene with the most reckless drivers, the owners of the most reckless vehicles, before they injure or kill our neighbors. And that took a lot of work, and I'm not going to go through the whole 2 years because we'll be here for a long time. But it took a lot of work because, as the mayor said, our laws have honored cars over people. And so that meant finding a legal way to give the sheriff the power to impound people's cars if they don't follow this law took a lot of work. And without a lot of work from the law department, a lot of work from the council's legal staff, we would not have been able to do that, and I want to thank them for that. Designing a whole new program from scratch that can address this was a big issue, and the commissioner's team, Commissioner Trottenberg and Kim Wiley-Schwartz and Ben Smith rolled up their sleeves with us to find a way to get this done. I want to say a big thank you. They did a lot of work to get us here, but their work is just getting started because the work to actually implement this program is going to be a whole lot, so thank you to them. The advocate, everyone is thanking the sheriff, but the sheriff was so generous saying, this is actually something we could do. We use the power of the sheriff to go after scofflaws, and these folks are scofflaws. And so even though our tow pound capacity is scarce, and even though this will be more work for our team to do, we got it done. I want to just, thank the other advocates without Transportation Alternatives, and Marco and Danny and Eric from Streets Pack, and Steve and Blythe and the legal work that they put in, and Adam and Doug Gordon and Brian Howell and Will Farrell and the work to figure out the data. I want to give credit to Aaron Napperstack, who helped us focus on this idea that reckless driving is now what drunk driving was like at a point in the past, something that we treat as acceptable, that we don't treat as something that we need to use every tool to change and make unacceptable behavior in our city. And it was that insight that got this started. It's that insight that helped create the program at the Red Hook Community Justice Center, that the Center for Court Innovation, that Amanda Berman and Adam Mansky created, that we're building on, because we believe it is possible to intervene with people, to run a program that uses the principles of restorative justice to change people's behavior, and then it's got the backstop of that accountability, because if you don't, we will tow your car. So all of that took a lot of work, and then I want to just end with a couple of the staff in City Hall, Paul Ochoa and Anna Paisior, who committed to working with us to get this done, and then to my staff, Julia Ehrman especially, who just did not let up on this. And as a result, so let's hear it for them. All right. As a result of all of that work, we are going to be able to stand up this first of its kind, innovative in the country, dangerous vehicle abatement program that I am confident is going to succeed in reducing crashes, in changing people's driving behavior, in holding people accountable, in focusing on the need to confront reckless driving and make it like what drunk driving now is, something that is unacceptable in our city. And when we do, we will save lives. We will be one more step toward that Vision Zero. We've got a long way still to go to get there, that day when we don't lose anyone, any loved ones to traffic violence. But today, thanks to the mayor signing this bill and the great team that got us here, we are honoring that commitment we made to the families of Abigail and Joshua. We are taking a very real step forward that will save lives in our city, that will put people over cars, and I'm really, really grateful to everyone who did the work. Thank you.
Finally, want you to hear from the chair of the Transportation Committee. He has been right with us from day one on Vision Zero and helped us build it. Council Member Ydanis Rodriguez.
Look, I cannot look at the eyes of my daughters, 13 and 7, and say, you live in a non-segregated society. Because we changed the law in the system, it doesn't mean that we change the culture. So we neither can look at the children today in New York City and say the mayor did the right thing, and he's committed, working with the commission and everyone, to say, let's bring to zero the number of pedestrians and cyclists that lose their life. Yes, because we changed the law, but we need to change the culture. The streets belong to everyone, especially to pedestrians and cyclists. I drive a car. I am one of 1.4 million New Yorkers. That's the only number that we have from the 8.6 who own cars. More than 7 million New Yorkers, they just walk, take the trains, take ferry, and we need to protect. And it doesn't matter the excuses that any driver bring. We are the one behind a wheel, something that weighs tons or pounds, that can take the life away of the beautiful children. It doesn't matter if that happened in Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Manhattan, the Bronx. It doesn't matter if they're Asian, Jewish, white, Latino, black, upper, middle, working class. For God's sake, it's New Yorkers that we're losing. It's 3 children that we have lost from December to today. One at 116th Street and First Avenue. A mother with her heart broken. Back in December, 10 years old. Back in January, last month, at 12 years old. And now we have to deal with another press conference that we shouldn't have. I know that no one who is covering the story behind the camera or writing the story, that you have witnesses. Those stories, I know that your experience is completely different from any of your friends who do something else. So this epidemic requires for everyone to come on board. And this is not only the city of New York. Every single day in the United States of America, 90 people lose their life every day. So today, as we go to sleep at 12, we already will have 90 individuals. So I'm happy to be here with the commitment that we're working together. But for the wife of Jose, 3 years in college, ready to raise the family, to work together, as she said when she spoke to the media, no one will bring Jose back. No one will bring Amyson back. And as none of the mayor with his 2 big youngsters, myself with a 13 and 7, no one is ready. We can say sorry, but that's not enough. That emptiness, we expect that they are praying for us, giving us the strength that we need. Last month, we lost 4 people in 48 hours. This weekend, we lost another 4 in 48 hours. We passing this law, and this is part of the numbers of bills and initiatives that we're working together. We have to continue doing more together as a city. The leader, the mayor, is committed, but the public, private, academic sector, everyone has to do their part. There is a bill, a bipartisan bill, by Marco Rubio and Gillibrand that will mandate for the United States of America to do the same thing that they do in Europe, that any trucks that is in the street have to come with the sensors so that the driver is able to see the images when they make turn. So estamos aquí buscando solución a una crisis que no tiene un segundo más para aguantar, una crisis que le quita la vida a niños, a personas mayores. Vamos a seguir trabajando con el alcalde, con la comisionada, pero basta ya. 20 muertos de enero a febrero, 4 perdimos el mes pasado en 48 horas y este fin de semana 4 más. We committed to work together, but we call on the public, slow down, stop in the stop sign, don't cross the red light. Albany, increase the penalty, because the penalty for someone who is drunk is higher than someone that leaves the scene when they hit someone. So let's work together. Let's bring justice to Jose. Let's bring justice to the young person who died this week. And let's commit it to use every single tools that we have to accomplish our goal to reduce to 0 the numbers of great New Yorkers that we're losing every day. Thank you.
Okay, who's ready for some action? Let's go over to this desk right here. Gather around, everybody. And Allie, you'll set people where you want them to go. You can stand in front, tell people exactly where you want them. Do what Allie says.
Other folks can back up so that we can come up these steps and get behind him. We'll move before he starts. Yeah. All right.
Ready?
Yes, sir. We're ready.
Long time coming. Sure. Thank you, sir. You've never doubt my reach. That was a double entendre. Okay, they're coming. You can get a co-pilot in. Give me a bundle. Yeah, this is great. All right. Yeah, good. They're coming. Hold on, people. It's almost there. All right. Enjoy the strange ritual. Yes, I mean, you're doing great. It still looks like you're standing. It's a strange skill. All right, go down last two. All right. Okay, everybody? Ready, everybody? Knees go. Ready? You gotta just have a moment of calm. Ready? This bill's now law.